Welcome to your Science News Bulletin. All right, let's kick things off by heading up into orbit. It's actually been a really busy 24 hours up there, with a successful crew launch to the International Space Station, and, get this, a stunning new look at a dying star.
So, first up, SpaceX's Crew 12 mission is officially on its way. Just yesterday, February 13th, a Falcon 9 rocket just lit up the Florida sky. It sent a Dragon capsule rocketing into orbit with a 4-person international crew, and they're in it for the long haul. We're talking an 8-month science mission on the ISS. They're scheduled to dock this Saturday, so all eyes are on that.
Okay, now let's travel even deeper into space, because the Hubble telescope has just sent back an absolutely breathtaking new picture of the Egg Nebula. I mean, this thing is incredible. It's this beautiful dance of light and shadow, all sculpted by stardust getting blasted off a dying star right in the middle of it all.
So why is this image such a big deal? Well, it's because we're getting a snapshot of something called a pre-planetary nebula. It's a really brief but super important phase in the death of stars, just like our own sun. You know, you might think of stars going out with one big bang, but this one is different. It's shedding its layers in these sputtering bursts, kind of like a cosmic sprinkler every few hundred years. And that is how the universe gets all the raw materials it needs to build the next generation of planets.
All right, so from the massive scale of space, we're going to zoom all the way down into the subatomic world. A legendary U.S. particle collider has just powered down for the very last time.
Yup, after 25 years of just groundbreaking discoveries, the Relativistic Heavy Ion Collider, or RHIC as it's known, officially wrapped up its operations on February 6th. I mean, for a quarter of a century, this place was an absolute titan in the world of nuclear physics research.
And what a run it was. One of the physicists there said it had a spectacular run beyond what anyone could dream. And that's no exaggeration. This facility became famous for exploring the absolute fundamental building blocks of matter.
So, what was its biggest hit? Well, RHIC's #1 achievement was recreating something called the quark-gluon plasma. Think of it as the primordial soup that existed just moments after the Big Bang. Now, everyone predicted it would behave like a gas, but what RHIC found was mind-blowing. It flows like a perfect liquid with almost no friction at all. This one discovery literally rewrote the book on how our universe began.
Okay, from the birth of the universe, let's turn to something a little closer to home, human biology. It turns out a 30-year-old theory about how we see has just been completely overturned.
You know, for decades, the textbooks all said the same thing. To get sharp vision in the center of our eyes, certain light-sensing cells just move out of the way. Simple enough, right? Well, new research from Johns Hopkins University basically flips that entire idea on its head. Turns out, the cells don't move an inch. They get completely transformed.
So how does it work? By studying retinal tissue they actually grew in a lab, they uncovered this really elegant two-step process. First, a form of vitamin A acts kind of like a gatekeeper, limiting how many blue sensing cones are made in the center of the eye. Then, thyroid hormones come in and trigger the remaining blue cones to convert into the red and green cones we need for that high-def, sharp vision.
And this is way more than just a cool biology fact. This new understanding could be a total game changer for treating diseases like macular degeneration, which can steal people's sight, which is just incredible. And hey, speaking of which, if you're finding this update informative, do me a quick favor and hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps out.
All right, next up, we're going to jump in the time machine. A spectacular archaeological find in Britain is making historians rethink what they thought they knew about the Roman Empire.
So there's this stunning Roman mosaic that was found in Rutland, England. And after taking a closer look, archaeologists found a huge surprise. See, everyone thought it showed a famous scene from Homer's Iliad, you know, the Trojan War story. But it doesn't. It actually shows a scene from a play that's been lost to time. And the dead giveaway? It's a scene where Hector's body is weighed against a pile of gold, a detail that only appears in that lost play.
Now, this might not sound like a big deal, but it is huge. What this proves is that even people living way out in what was considered a rural backwater of the Roman Empire were totally plugged into the high culture and literature of the wider world. It just shatters that old idea of Roman Britain being some isolated outpost. They were clearly part of a much bigger, vibrant, and connected world.
And finally, let's wrap things up by looking to the future. A newly discovered bacterium is opening up a really exciting new path for carbon capture.
So, scientists have found this bacterium in the soil that can do something remarkable. It's called microbial electrosynthesis. But in simple terms, these microbes can literally eat electricity. They take energy directly from an electrical source and use that power to convert CO2 into useful chemicals.
This little microbe is a powerhouse. It uses that electricity to turn CO2 into acetate. That's a chemical used in tons of stuff, from vinegar to manufacturing. And the way it does it is so cool. It has these tiny conductive filaments that act like little wires to pull in the electrons. The potential here is just enormous. I mean, imagine plugging our renewable energy grids directly into factories that recycle carbon. You could create a completely sustainable way to make things.
And that concludes this Science News Bulletin. We'll be back with another update in 24 hours.